Hello, everybody, and this is Nomed from Two Gamers One Podcast. In this episode, it's going to be a bit of just a introduction on who we are. It's going to be a little unstructured this time, so we can get familiar with recording and the software itself. So we will begin right now. Enjoy.
So I gotta tell you, man, like one of the cool things about doing something like this is it's good for, brotherhood and friendship. It's good for guys to have something that brings them together and gives them an excuse to hang out,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
for sure. That's one of the reasons I want to do it, because we sit and, whenever we do hang out, we sit and shoot the shit about video games anyway, so.
Yeah.
Why not just do it in front of a microphone and then I can maybe do some light editing to it and just post it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think sometimes it's nice to, even if you can't be with a group of guys, be able to listen to something and just feel like you're part of
Oh yeah,
a conversation.
I've been listening to a lot of podcasts while I drive, and I listen to Codex, the history of video games, and that's a really good podcast. It's just two guys. They're both I think they're both comedians, and they just they look through a book, or they do some research in history on specific games or things that are
Hmm.
happening in gaming, and they just basically talk about it.
That sounds fantastic, dude.
Mm.
Sounds like good conversation.
Oh yeah, I don't want to get those books too, or so we can reference those or use them as sources later.
That's a
Yeah,
good idea. Well, speaking of that sort of thing, have you ever watched the Gaming Historian?
absolutely.
Oh, dude, yeah, he's great.
I've seen almost every single one of his videos. They even mention him in Codex: The History of Gaming because they'll source him sometimes because he's gotten information other people don't have.
Yeah, no, he's done a lot of good episodes, but like one of my favorites was one with Mario RPG. And I remember a quote from him was he was talking about, Square Enix and Nintendo getting together. He's like, and they came together to make something very special. And I was like, yeah, dude, like one of my two favorite games. Yeah, I'd call it special.
It's literally Mario meets Final Fantasy. The first one is.
Yeah, man. And I mean, the remake is just so perfect.
Well, I think what originally happened is they got sour on each other because Square kind of just moved Final Fantasy over to PlayStation.
Well, yeah, it was because of the N64, because they were pissed that the cartridge was too limiting for what they want to do.
Yeah, Final
They
Fantasy VII literally could not exist.
Yeah, because they had these grand plans to make this giant epic RPG, which was Final Fantasy VII,
Yep.
and they felt like they couldn't do it with Nintendo, so then, like you said, they moved it all over to Sony. Nintendo got a wee bit butthurt, if you will,
Yeah, and
and
then a
they had a little
whole
bit of a
bunch
lover's quarrel, if you will.
then a whole bunch of JRPGs came out on PlayStation after that, like
Hmm.
Chrono Trigger and Xenogears and Legend of Dragoon and just a whole bunch of stuff made by Square.
Yeah, like PlayStation basically became the RPG platform.
And it was still Japanese, so it wasn't that difficult for Square to just move over. They're all in the same country anyway. It wasn't like moving to like um an Xbox,
Yeah, yeah,
which they
that's
still
true.
struggle with today. They really don't have JRPGs.
Well, one more reason I'm happy I'm a a PlayStation owner.
Nah, you got to get all three. That's what I do.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, man, before you loaned me that Nintendo Switch. Like I thought I would be okay without owning a Nintendo, but I now see the error of my ways.
No,
So I will tell you, it's very possible you're right about the Xbox as well. All right, maybe I don't know what I don't know I'm missing out on.
yeah, it's like so the way I always looked at Nintendo was they have unique games that are some of my favorite games. So
Absolutely.
I always have my Nintendo as a secondary console. Then I had my PlayStation, well, back in the day, I had my PlayStation 3 and my PS2. But that was my like big main games, the big new stuff that's coming out. And now I just buy all three because I don't want to miss out on whatever the hell I want to play. So like Game Pass is like less than $20 a month, and I play all kinds of shit that way.
I think I've heard from many people that Game Pass is a much better deal than PlayStation Plus in terms of the raw number of games you get.
It
Is that
is,
the
and it's
case?
cheaper. Because
Really?
your PlayStation one, if you want access to I think PS3 games and some PS2 games, it's a lot more expensive a month.
Oh yeah, because you have to get one of the upgraded
Yeah,
versions
yeah,
of it.
you can't just get the regular ones.
You know, I gotta tell you though, like I don't know if this was just something that Sony does or if this was because of my PlayStation Plus subscription. Like if I didn't have that, I don't know if it would still have done it. But when I got my PlayStation 5, like it was amazing how easy the transition was because everything just came on over.
I think it does that anyway. I'm pretty sure it does that anyway.
Well,
As long as you
if
log
that's
in
the
with the
case,
same account. Yeah, I'm pretty
yeah,
sure it does.
if that's the case, then that is a genius move on their part because I
It's
like
like migrating from phone to phone.
yeah,
Yep.
exactly. That's exactly what it's like. Because like when I went from, of course, like the N64 to the PlayStation 2, that was completely different. That, of course, that there's no way that would have ever happened. But like when you got into some of the later systems, like going from even like the PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, like it was nothing like that. Like I still had them both hooked up for a long time because
Well, that's because they weren't backwards compatible. So your
yeah,
PS5 is
exactly.
just a PS4 on steroids. You know, it's got quote unquote 4K gaming, and it's just a more powerful PS4 that plays all the same games, uses all the same controllers and stuff, and
hmm
Xbox did the same thing. Nintendo needs to get on that train, hopefully with the Switch.
So you're definitely, of course, between the two of us, the technological master here, right? Like you're always like telling me little things I had no idea about, like I didn't know you could use PlayStation 4 controllers on the PS5.
Okay, well, here's another fun fact about PS4 controllers. You can use them on PS3s.
Really?
Dude,
Dude,
I
that is a
won't play my.
versatile controller,
Do you have
bro.
any idea how crap PS3 controllers are? Oh my god.
Well, like at the time I didn't realize it, but when you go back and you grab one and you compare it to like a PS4 controller, it is pretty wild how cheap and crappy a PS3 controller feels by comparison to the PS4 controller.
Hold on, I was literally just holding one. Yeah, here it is.
I mean, because like in my mind, I sometimes tend to think of them as being basically the same because they have a pretty similar design, but
And this isn't a launch. This isn't a launch one. It's the actual six-axis DualShock. So that means it's the heavier one.
I was gonna say this does feel a little bit heavier than ones I have because up until I got my PS5, I still have my PS3 sitting out. Hey, by the way, this is one of the most beautiful controllers, certainly PS3 controllers I've ever seen. This deep cherry red,
So the
that's
only way to
beautiful,
get
bro.
that one was to buy the God of War all-in-one PS3 package I had. All three God of Wars and the two PSP God of Wars for PS3 with a controller.
Dude, this is beautiful, and I like how you have these. What do you call these?
They're like thumb
The
grippies.
thumb grips. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty nice too, man.
They were really nice when I was playing Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's a gorgeous controller, man. I think that's one that
Yeah,
deserves to be on a shelf somewhere.
it's too bad it's shit. Just like every other PS3 controller, it doesn't work right.
Well, all the more reason it should be put on a shelf and not used anymore. 'Cause, I mean, that's a work of art right there. That's
Yep.
beautiful.
I just use my PS4 controllers if I hook up my PS3 because it's not even worth. Or what I do is I got this. It's called a Honeybee Airflow. It's got a fan built into it and blows cool air on your hands while you use it. It's actually a PC controller, but the PS3 recognizes it
No, that's
as a
convenient.
PS3 controller, and it looks the same.
So basically, for those tense situations where you're sweating balls, your hands are covered in sweat.
It blows cool air in your hands.
Yeah,
It's super nice. I really like it.
that's really cool.
I bought it for
Well,
$1 at a thrift store.
well, speaking of that sort of thing, I mean, that's pretty cool actually. But do you have that handy? By the way, I'd like to see that if you have it around here.
It is down in my office because that's where I do
Oh,
I
okay.
have it hooked up to that computer that I've been messing with.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you can show me a little bit later after the show.
But it has no like the only thing it can't do on PS3 is use a home button because they have some kind of copyrighted code or some bullshit where you have to pay them to use the home button on your controller. So what I have is these third party fight game pads, and I
hmm
just leave that plugged in because that one works. It has the home button.
I
So
was
if I
thinking,
ever need the home button, I just reach over and push it.
well, that's pretty cool. It's
Or I'll
pretty.
use a PS4 controller, which also I would still have to use that fight pad for some reason.
Wait, so you're telling me if you use a PS4 controller on the PS3, it doesn't recognize the home button?
Nope, it's a different code.
Oh man,
Other than that, it works perfectly. I think it even works wirelessly, if I'm not mistaken.
really?
Yeah,
If
I
it works
know it definitely
wirelessly,
works
that's
wired,
pretty
but
convenient.
I'm pretty sure it recognizes it wirelessly.
Well, that's pretty cool.
It's not
Um,
like plug it in and use it like you would any other one. You got to go into like PS3 settings and do some stuff, but it is officially supported.
Like, what kind of stuff do you have to do?
You just have to go. You have to put it. You have to plug it in, I think, and put it in parent mode at the same time, and then go into your Bluetooth devices, and it should come up.
Well, see, like this stuff you're talking about here, like, um, I'm sort of, used to over time, like having to, deal with like little workarounds like that. So that's part of the reason when the PlayStation 5 came out, everything transitioned not only so smoothly, but a lot I didn't have to do anything. It just happened.
Literally
Like it was such
for the
a
controller,
breath
you
of
just
fresh
plug it
air.
in.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
such a breath of fresh air. I was like, this is amazing. And plus, it's just so smooth. I mean, it's hard to put your finger on how or why everything just feels so much better, but I can just say like it feels smooth.
Oh yeah, how are you enjoying load times now?
Oh, dude, it's great.
Oh, that's a
Dude, that
big.
is
It's a big jump.
that okay, so I was looking forward to getting a PS5 because of that, because like that was especially play a game like Civ 6, I mean the load times were frustrating. And I never understood that anyways, because like it's Civ 6, like it's not like like a Grand Theft Auto where it has to like load like an
The
entire
entire half the
world.
world, yeah.
Yeah, but so yeah, that is noticeable, and that's what I was looking forward to the absolute most. But what was a pleasant surprise to me was just how much I did enjoy like I guess the graphical upgrade, like which I didn't think I was going to notice, but like it's again, like I told you, like that might be my TV though. That might
Yeah,
not be the
I don't think. I mean, to me, it doesn't look that much different.
well, like I told you, I think that might actually be my TV because I was using that really old flat
Yeah.
screen versus like the upgraded one.
Well, now you're gonna have to
So,
make some room, rearrange some
well,
stuff.
once I hook that one up, that one you're giving me up, like I'm probably gonna then come back and say, man, like the PS4 looks so much better than I remember.
Yeah, that's a pretty good TV. I don't think it's not like the latest tech. I've had it for a little while, but it is still a pretty nice TV.
It's probably an upgrade from what I've got then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's the third best TV in the house because I've got the curve in my bedroom that used to be in my living room, and then I got that big ass 86-inch monstrosity.
Which again, I think that's the biggest TV I've seen in real life. Which I can't even believe you got that in the door,
Dude,
by the way.
wait. Dude, oh, well, the first one I didn't, so I broke that one.
Like I
The,
remember you telling me the story, and I still can't believe you got through the door.
dude, it was
I
wild.
mean,
It was the first one. I was so scary. Like I got it. I actually finally had gotten it home, and then we were sliding it over top the hump for your doorway, and then my wife was on the other side, and she's not super strong. When it came off the hump, it hit the ground, and then I was like, oh no. And we plugged it in before we got any further, and the whole screen was broke. We just took it back to Sam's Club, and they swapped me out for the same TV. So then I took the box as well, all smushed up on top of the TV, which barely fit in the car. We had to push our seats all the way forward and lay the seats down. And then I put foam on the edge of the TV and then tied the hatch down because it did not fit in the car. And
yeah, man.
then we rebuilt the box in the driveway and then slid it into the house in the box and then removed it from the box. And then I couldn't even put it on top of the TV stand, so it sat in the box after I tested it just to be sure. It sat in the box for like a month or something, 2 months, until somebody came by who could help me lift it because it weighs like 400 pounds. It is ridiculous.
It's really funny. Like at the gym right now, I'm so proud of myself for being able to bench 235. Although I do bump it up to 250, sometimes I do like a couple reps, but where I'm really usually maxing out is 235. So, anyways, you telling me that weighs 400 pounds? I'm thinking, wow, that's more than I can bench.
I think it weighs more. It feels like
That's
400 pounds. I don't know. It's
oh, that's just an
mad
estimation.
heavy.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't know. I
but
didn't
so
actually
it's
look it
heavy either
up, but
way.
it's
Yeah,
really heavy. And my dad's like, "Oh, I just picked mine up and put it up there." Like, you're also like triple my size,
your
bro.
dad's a
Like,
pretty big guy. I mean, I'll tell you, your dad's one of those guys I wouldn't want to fight. That's for sure. In fact, I'm hoping if I ever find myself in a fight, I'm hoping your dad's around and he chooses to back me up because he's the kind of guy you want your fight or on your side in a street fight.
man, well, I can't believe he just picked it up by himself and put it up there. I'd have been too scared to try. Because if I broke it another one, I'd be mad. Especially months later at this point now.
I gotta tell you, like that's actually one thing that caught my attention the most about your story was just the ease with which you were able to take something like that back, and they just exchange it? Like, did they ask many questions? Were they just like, oh, it got broken? Okay, cool. You just bought it. No, no worries.
No, well, so we called in first and we're like, what do we need? We left the box there because, we took it out of the box to fit it in the car to begin with. And the lady's like, oh yeah, there's the serial numbers on the back of the TV. As long as you bring the remote and all the paperwork or whatever that you had with it, we'll just swap it out. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's
I couldn't like return it, but I could swap it, which was good enough for me.
well, yeah,
I just
yeah.
needed a
I
new
mean,
one.
that's still pretty huge because that's 'cause somebody's still taking a loss somewhere when you have something like that. Someone's still got to.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Sam's Club probably takes some kind of loss on that as well as LG.
Yeah, because like I'm sure, like at least the way it worked at Walgreens when I worked there, they'd as far as my understanding of it was, they'd get credit from supplier,
Yeah.
which of course that costs the supplier, and it doesn't give Walgreens the full amount, but it spreads out a little bit.
Well, from what I'm told back in my Walmart days, is that like big electronics and stuff like that, they will take those back and then, like you said, they give the company credit. But what they do is they reuse those as parts to make refurbished ones because not
Oh, so it's
it's
not
not like
total
the whole
loss.
TV was broken. There's still parts in there they can use. So,
Mm.
I mean, why wait? You're not gonna just throw it in the garbage. That'd be dumb.
Yeah, it makes a little bit of sense. It's just like in the steel industry, like you get like plates that are rusty or with scratches and gouges, like maybe you can't sell it, for full price as prime material to the original customer, but you can still take that and sell it secondary to people that will, cut out like the bottoms for like lamps or whatever, and where the surface isn't critical. So you're still getting use out of it and still making a sale, just not as high as it could have been.
Yeah, I'm sure that the companies who use like flat steel for punch outs or anything that you like laser cut, they probably use all the scraps and have it sent back
If
somewhere and melt it back down.
Yeah, yeah, if they're making small parts, I mean, a you can get a lot of usable parts even out of a pretty crappy piece of steel. But yeah, of course, yeah, you take the scrap, you melt it down. Like really, nothing with steel gets wasted, because you have
There's no point. Like, you can just reuse it. Why would you bother wasting it?
yeah, yeah, because like I mean, because they have like the mini mills that will take all that scrap and in fact that's what their bread and butter. Like they take scrap and they just turn it into prime steel, which yeah, since I work in the steel industry, you can tell I'm kind of a steel nerd.
So do you want to talk kind of about how we met?
Okay, sure. You want me to start?
Yeah, you could go ahead and start. I've
Okay,
never heard
so
you start the story before.
so how the story started for me was, Rich, I haven't told the story in a long time.
I'm
I've
sure.
not told the story since before my son was born,
Literally.
literally. But yeah, so I had just recently moved to Cleveland, from Pennsylvania, right?
Yep.
And it just so happened that what's that guy's name that had that game store? What's it
Corey?
called? Corey, yeah. He had that game store like right down the street from me, right? And so I got to know him fairly well. But my sister came into town, and she was like, "All right," she's like, "Let's go check out this game store." So we get down there to check it out, and we're talking with Corey and all that, that stuff. And I happened to mention I wanted an NES Mini. He's like, "Oh," I was like, "You want an NES Mini?" He's like, "Really?" He's like, "Well, I know a girl that has one that wants to get rid of it for, a good price or something."
Who was selling them at that time? Like, come on.
Dude, some woman had one that
That's
Corey somehow
wild.
knew. So he's like, dude, he's like, so if you're serious, you really want one, he's like, I can give you her number, and you can see if she wants to, hook up with you and sell it to you for a good price. And I was like, yeah, yes, for sure. So anyways, he was right. Like this woman had, I forget what her story was, why she was getting rid of it, but she had it still in the box and all that, and she just wanted to get rid of it. She didn't want to make a lot of money. She just wanted to get rid of it. So me and my sister went to go meet her. I forget where it was at. It was probably like a 30, 40-minute drive. We meet in a park or a parking lot somewhere.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Oh, here you go." I gave her, $50 or whatever it was.
She
And
could have scalped you at that time, dude.
she
She
could
could have.
have.
She could have charged like 100 or more.
But it was great, dude. I mean, it was in the box and it was in good shape and everything. So, we came back to Corey again, and we're like, Corey, thanks a lot, bro. You were right. That woman did have a cheap NES Mini that she wanted to get rid of, and she sold to me, and I have it now. So I appreciate it, man. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, well, he's like, do you have any interest in adding more games? And I was like, yeah, I do actually. And he's like, well, yet again, Corey came to the rescue. He's like, well, he was like, I can hook you up with someone again. And
I think I had just talked to him about modding mine, like right before that happened.
and so he gave me your number, and he was like, yeah, he's like, contact this guy. He's like, this guy is really good with, video game systems. Like, mod this will be piece of cake for this guy.
It really is.
And I was like, all right, cool. So I can't remember if I texted you or called you, but we ended up deciding to meet so I could give it to you.
Yeah, we just met at the store, I think.
And yeah, I think we did. I think we met right
Because
in
I
front
felt
of,
like that was more convenient, and I probably had to pick some stuff up anyway when I was there
yeah,
working for him.
yeah. It was like 'cause in those days you were fixing his old
Yep, I
systems all the
was
time, right?
taking bins of game systems out of their basement and taking them home with me with some cables to basically Frankenstein systems together to get them functioning again so he can sell them, and then I got to keep the scraps.
When you said Frankenstein systems together, Alice Cooper's
I
Frankenstein
just listened to that the other day.
suddenly popped in my mind. It's playing in the background in my mind right now, just so you know. Great song, especially for this time of year,
But
Halloween season.
he didn't always pay me in cash though, so sometimes
Pay
he'd
you
let
in
me.
hugs and love.
No, God no, I don't want a hug from Corey. He used to let me pick X amount of dollars worth of stuff out of the store or grab sometimes some pretty rare stuff out of the basement that they said didn't work and that I could keep. So like for a little while I had a JVC XI and I had a Sega Nomad. That was a pretty big deal at the time. I was a big fan of Sega right then, and I
Well,
really wanted something like that.
yeah, the Nomad was the handheld, right?
It's a handheld, but it plays Sega Genesis games,
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
and
I always wanted one of those.
you could plug it into the TV, and you can plug an extra controller into it.
Oh, dude,
So
sweet.
you could play two-player on it. It was the Switch before the Switch.
Dude, you're
Dude, it was
right.
awesome.
You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big fan.
dude. When I was a kid, I wanted one of those so bad.
They were expensive.
Dude, I don't know if I ever really saw them in the store. Like, were they in the store very much or?
I think they were, but they're hard to find. They're even hard to find now. I don't think there was that many of them made.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I remember it because I remember being really excited about it, really wanting one,
Yeah, you
but
can find a
like
Game Gear
like
anywhere, but like
yeah,
not a
Game Gear is
Nomad.
easy. Yeah, I mean, I feel like even now, like I feel like you'll find people with a Game Gear that just they just want to get rid of it. Like, oh, you want this? Take it.
Yeah.
Uh,
So anyway,
oh yeah, yeah. So getting back to that story, yeah. So I met up with you in front of James Games, gave it to you, and I remember being kind of nervous when I met you because I was like, I have no idea who this is. What if this guy steals my
yeah,
precious? And yes,
there was
many.
no collateral back. It was just like, here, take my thing. Trust me, bro.
That's basically what it was. And on your end, I was just like, oh, I'll totes pay you when we're done. Trust me, bro. But yeah, so then I remember when you finished, I think you came to my apartment, didn't you?
So I finished. I was in a very bad place at the time, and I was doing anything I could to stay out of my house. So I think we met up at the store again, and then we ended up standing out there bullshitting for a while after you paid me. And then you were like, "Hey, I'm gonna order some pizza. I'm new to the area. I've got some game system stuff or something. Did you want to come back to my place? We could check some stuff out and eat some pizza." And I was like, "Well, this is a risk,
It's
going
a
to this
risk.
random guy's home, but I didn't want to go back to my home, so I just was like, screw it. Worst case, I mean, like best case, I get pizza. Worst case, I just bounce."
Worst case, you don't make it out alive. In which case, you
Well,
never have to go home again.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess that's fair.
Yeah, when you said risk, it reminded me of last weekend we were playing the game of Risk,
Oh my god.
and I was crushing my enemies with the greatest of ease.
Yeah, until it crashed.
I cannot believe that crashed my PS5, dude.
I am surprised that such a simple game could crash the PS5 as well.
Well, I mean, dude, this guy goes back to what I alluded to earlier. Like, I could not believe the load times on something like Civ 6. At least that has pretty good graphics, by the way. But Risk, it doesn't get any simpler than that. It's crashing a brand new PS5. What the heck?
Well, the big show off, I think, when they first announced the PS5 to me for the load times was they showed Spider-Man and how it loaded basically the entire world in like a second. It was like they pushed the start button on the main menu and then it just loaded the game like it was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Which I always thought of like, oh, the old Spider-Man games, they load portions or like I mean they still do load portions kind of, but it's so far in the distance that you don't even notice it. But I was thinking like Grand Theft Auto, like you said, where it like loads the
Mm-hmm.
whole game first, and that takes a while. But even now, I haven't played GTA 5 on my PS5, but I would assume it's a lot faster than it used to be.
Yeah, it almost certainly has to be. In fact, I'd be interested in hearing you try it just to confirm that it is instantaneous, like you were talking about, because I I bet that it is.
Well, I know Spider-Man is because that came with my PS5. I
Yeah.
didn't play that
Well,
much of it though. I kind of fell off of those like superhero games a while ago.
yeah, I've heard really good things about the Spider-Man games, so I haven't played them.
I like the old ones. I used to play like Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1 on PS1. Um, I like the Amazing Spider-Man, which is the comic book cel-shaded one. We played that on GameCube back in the day, but it was on everything. But I had it on GameCube.
It sounds like for that type of game, the cell shade graphics would be pretty fitting.
I think it felt,
Kind of
yeah,
goes along with the
it
whole
fit
comic
pretty good
book
on there, especially with, I
look.
mean, when you think of like Wind Waker on there is more of like a cartoony cel-shaded Zelda game.
Hmm.
I thought that it kind of went together, and that's
So,
all I had for a long time. So,
mm, yeah, at the time it was cutting edge graphics too.
oh, absolutely. I mean,
Well, so real quick here, just going back to when we met before we completely leave this story in the dust, was it Little Caesar's Pizza that I had for you.
yes, you had Little Caesars Pizza, of course.
I would have been disappointed had it been anything else.
No, yeah, it was definitely Little Caesars, no question. I think you said you had to run up to the store or whatever, and then I just went in and did what I had to do at James Games, and I met you back at your apartment when you were ready. And then I think you showed me, and you were like, "Oh, I haven't really unpacked much, but here's like some of the kind of cool stuff that I have." I think you had some figures out, and I swear you had some kind of N64 stuff.
I did, and I was about to ask if you remembered what one of the games was.
Did you have like a fake copy of Clay Fighter?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, yeah, because you said like you're like that's the first thing I saw when I walked into your house was
Oh
Clay
yeah,
Fighter
I had a
63 and a third.
stroke. I was like, "Oh my God, this is like the rarest N64 game." You're like, "Yeah, it's okay, it's fake."
I saw somebody talking about this recently, and I think there's only one or two known copies of Clay Fighter 63 and a third that are still in the box unopened.
Oh yeah, unopened ones. Yeah, there's only literally a couple because it was a Blockbuster rental only.
Yeah, so the first thing it would have done when they got it was open it up, put it out for rental, and
Exactly, and they put it in those little, those plastic um square cases or whatever they had for the N64 back then.
so what I'm always curious about in these stories is how did any survive unopened? I mean, like, did they fall behind a shelf somewhere for they could be opened, or how
So,
did they survive?
somebody doing something shady back in the day is what happened.
I
Think about
think you're probably right.
it. It was probably, I mean, I don't want to say for sure because I don't know the people, but it seems like it would have been thefted, maybe never put on the shelf for some reason, quote unquote, lost in the back room. But it was exclusive to
Lost in
Blockbuster
shipping.
only. They're the only ones who got that game.
Isn't it crazy to think that Blockbuster used to be so big with thousands of stores, and now I think they
There's
still have
one.
one store. Yeah.
It's family owned, that's why. There's some family that owns it, and they've owned it forever.
Yeah, I think I saw James Rolfe, aka the Angry Video Game Nerd. I think he did an episode where he
Yes,
went
he
to
did. I
visit.
watched it.
Yeah, I did too. I remember all the details of it, but I think it's a pretty cool store. Like, don't they still have a bunch of, you know, memorabilia in there
Yeah,
that's,
it's basically like a Blockbuster museum on top of being an actual Blockbuster if you're
yes,
local.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got some like pieces on pedestals and stuff. I know for a little while they were doing this thing where you could pay, I don't remember how much it was, a couple $100 or something, and they would have like a Blockbuster sleep in with like a projector screen. You could watch a movie and like sleep in at the Blockbuster. I don't know if they still do that, but that was something that was going around a few years ago.
Now, was this something that'd be like one individual or his family or group of friends would
I think
do,
it
or
would
was
be
it like
I think
open to like a
it's
hundred people?
no, I think it would be. You'd have to like rent the time or whatever. It might have been more than a couple $100. It was pretty cool sounding though, and I wanted to do it, but I don't travel much, so.
Well, along this same vein, like there's apparently only one Toys R Us left in existence, and I'd like to go see that.
I heard telltale that there's a couple I think in Australia still.
Really?
Yeah, supposedly.
Legend has it.
Yeah, legend has it they might also have Kmart's too.
Really?
The land down under is weird.
Well, when I first moved here, there was still Kmart.
Oh yeah, there was.
Down where I think it's a Big Lots now, or it's next to where the Big Lots is down in
Yeah, you've been here for like I don't know how long you been here, like 8, 9 years.
I was about to say 7 or 8. So yeah, let's just say about 8 years.
Let's say because I've known you almost the entire time.
Yeah, I forget exactly how long I've been here when I met you, but it was pretty early on.
Yeah, you hadn't even finished unpacking your apartment yet. You still most of your stuff was still in boxes in a room. I mean, I know everybody takes forever to unpack. You're sitting in a room that probably was never unpacked, but but
Yeah, well, the front room eventually got unpacked, but the stuff in that back room, 99% of that it just never worked its way out of the box.
it's still in the box in your basement now.
Much of it. Although I think that my mother-in-law went through it when she started staying with us to make sure she pulled out all the kids' toys.
Well, I mean,
Because my parents had also brought boxes up when they came to visit, my old crap. And so, there was, it's like toys and stuff that I had when I was a kid in there. So she pulled most of those out, like a lot of the dinosaurs and stuff. So my kids can play with them.
well, I got some breaking news. My phone decided to tell me right now.
Oh yeah, what's
Yeah,
that?
it's game related too.
Perfect. What is it? What you got?
So, have you ever heard of the company Analog? They make they're not emulator boxes. They're hardware like re-engineered.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
So they've been around for a little while. They make really good quality, very expensive products.
Mm,
And apparently the Analog 3D is coming and it's going to be a 4K Nintendo 64 console.
wow, nice.
Yeah, the pre-orders for it start on Monday, I guess. That would be October 21st at 8 in the morning. The console is $250. That's actually not too bad. Looks like they have this wireless controller that kind of looks like an 8-bit Do Pro controller.
Well, that's definitely the way
Yeah,
to
look,
go
it
is
looks
wireless,
weird. I
man.
don't know if that's like a legit
Oh,
rendering, but
that's weird.
that's kind of how they make their systems, so I think it is.
Dude, it actually looks more like a.
But it looks like it comes with an 8-bit Do controller, and it also can use original ones if it wants to.
Well, it almost looks more like a. I mean, not exactly, but like at first glance, it reminds me more of a PlayStation, the original PlayStation, than an N64.
I mean, it kind of looks like if Nintendo would make slim consoles, it looks like an N64 Slim. You
Yeah,
know?
I could see that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's interesting. And very random that my phone was just like, hey, guess what? I'm listening to you talk about video games.
Well, I was listening to a podcaster recently that was talking about this very thing,
Oh, yeah.
and I don't think the phones are actually listening and, always reacting
Yeah,
to
they are.
like exactly what you're saying. He goes, it appears that way. He goes, but what I think's actually happening is, which is far scarier, is that they don't need to. They know you so well that even without listening to you, they're just going to make relevant stuff pop up.
Well, yeah, that's what like cookies and stuff are. They all
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of things that just keep track of you, and there's a like every different company has a repository that's got your like profile, quote unquote,
Hmm.
that like things you might like. That's how ad serving works, how AdSense works. They serve you things that they know you'll want to look at because they know you, what you search for, what you like, things you click on, things you won't click on.
Hmm. That explains a lot. That explains why I get Little Caesars commercials so often.
Yes.
In
That is
fact,
definitely why.
they just recently came out with those. I forget what they call them, but
Those
like
little
these.
bites.
Yes,
Yeah, I haven't tried those yet,
I
but
haven't either, but they look delicious.
well, my Little Caesar sucks, so I stopped going there.
Yeah, dude, I really think that's a fluke because like the one down in Harvard in Slavic Village, close to where I work, man. Like for one thing, that guy is just he's no joke. I mean, every pizza comes out like a masterpiece, dude.
Well,
I
yeah,
feel
because if
guilty
he
eating them
doesn't,
sometimes.
someone's gonna shoot him. You don't even know where you're at, bro. You're down in Slavic Village. If his pizza comes out crap, he's gonna get robbed.
He has to worry about more than just a bad review, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
exactly.
But the other one, I forget that where that's at, but it's down by where that old Kmart used to be, kind of.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean that one's always really good too. In
I
fact, that's where I got him from last time when he came over. Well, okay, so let me ask you this. Like, I know you've been disappointed with Little Caesars here. What did you think of the Little Caesars when I got last time? Was it better than you would expect to see here, or?
You got Domino's when I was just there last week, I
Oh,
think.
that's right, it
Yeah,
was
you got the
Domino's.
Domino's
That's
deep
right.
dish.
That's right.
That
Because
deep dish was fire.
that's right. Because you had told me you hadn't tried deep dish. I was like, all right, dude, you have got to get the handmade Domino's pizza.
Yeah, I mean they make good pizza. I recently found out that Domino's is good again, and then I just had Marco's because my daughter's school partners with them or something. I could have
Mm-hmm.
actually bought it probably today. Oh no, I think it was yesterday for the same deal. But I found out they slap. Dude, Marco's is good.
Dude, I remember you saying that. Yeah, I need to try Marco's because I feel like I've had them. Like, I feel like I've been somewhere, in my 8 years of living here where someone's had it, but I don't really remember what I thought of it that much. I can tell you that the gym, you know, that I would go to, Plant Fitness,
Hmm.
they would have, I think the first Monday of every month or something, they would have, a pizza night. And by the way, never order anywhere even close to as much pizza as they needed to fill everybody. So if I stayed late at work and I came in, it'd be very feasible that before I even started my workout, I'd come into empty pizza boxes with nothing left,
Wow.
and I would be most displeased. But no, but anyways, the thing is with it though, like even when they had it, like I'd eat it, but it was one of the more disappointing pizzas I've ever had. Like
Oof.
Giorgio's is, I don't know, man.
They used to be good back when I was a kid. We used to have one literally around the corner. We would go there at least once a week for some Giorgio's.
Well, like I try and like give them some grace, and I would think, okay, well maybe it's because like they ordered it like 3 or 4 hours before I got there. It's just been sitting out. It's
Well,
cold.
they've
It's
also been
dry. But
bought and sold and changed their ingredients like a million. Like I remember when they did start to suck, we stopped going there.
oh, okay.
We started going to
Well,
like I think Romeo's was another big one by us.
well, because so I was gonna say like I try to give them some grace and say it's been sitting out for a while, so maybe that's why. But then I think no, like, that's not it either because if
No,
I
I eat
have
pizza that's been sitting out all the time.
exactly. Also, if I think about like if I get like a Little Caesars pizza, especially one with like extra sauce,
Oh yeah,
extra sauce, like I can come back, like a couple days later, grab it out of the fridge, eat it cold, and it's delicious.
I used to before I met my wife, I used to have my pizza box just on top of my mini fridge in that room I used to live in. I don't remember if I ever took you to that place, but I used to have my own room there, and I would just leave it on top of the mini fridge and just eat in the morning for breakfast.
Then you
And
can
it
put
was
it in the
fine just the
fridge.
way it was. No, no, no. It was just the box sat on top
You,
of the fridge. My
you know, I
fridge was exclusively for beer, water bottles, and my liquor bottles.
Dude, there was this guy that the last year I was in college here in the States before I did my year abroad in China. One of my classmates, my Chinese class, a guy named Nathan. He was in the military. He fought in Iraq, man. He has some pretty wild stories, by the way.
Right.
But anyways, I told him one time that my roommate cooked a whole bunch of food the night before, and I was like, dude, yeah. I was like, I came back after I sat out all night, and I go, I ate a whole bunch of it, and I go, I hope that it's I'm not gonna get food poisoning from eating stuff that's like been out like all night. He's like, dude, he's like only one night. He's like, dude, he's like eating food's only been sat out for one night. He's like, that's normal.
Yeah, that's not that big a deal. I do that sometimes, but I think I only do that with pizza. Everything else has got to go in the fridge or the microwave.
Yeah, I try and put everything away, if it's gonna be sitting out overnight at
Well, I
least.
mean, I do now.
But
I didn't back then. I was all over the place.
except for rice, by the way. Like rice, man, that can sit out for a solid 24 hours and I'll still eat it. In fact, I kind of like rice when it's out for solid 24 hours because it's easier to chop up and divvy up. See, if you put rice in the fridge, like it makes it dry and stuff. But if you leave it out, it still kind of firms up, and you can easily slice it to put on Whoppers, for example. And
Did you say put on Whoppers? Like,
yeah, dude, have I not told you that before?
I didn't know you put rice on your
Oh, dude,
Whoppers.
dude,
That's
maybe
insane.
maybe you don't realize this. I don't know if I've even told you about this, but dude, like I love rice. Okay, I mean,
I like rice a lot
I am
too.
a rice fiend.
Mm.
Okay, and especially when I was living on my own before my wife moved in, like I was either putting rice on everything almost, or using rice to like turn almost anything else into like a rice bowl.
That's insane.
And so yeah, so like, I would come home like with Whoppers, and if I had leftover rice, like that's what I would do. I would chop it up and make like a big old thick,
Dude,
you know,
you took
Whopper rice
BK
sandwich.
have it your way to another level. Like literally to another level.
Yeah,
You're like, yeah, I'm gonna
I
take it home and I'm gonna have it my way.
exactly. Yeah, I took that phrase to heart, man. What can I say?
Oh man. So, have you checked out Silent Hill yet?
No, but
Oh,
I've heard some.
everybody I'm seeing says it's just as good as like when Resident Evil 2 got remade.
Yeah, I've heard some people saying some good things. Like people on Twitter have been like, "Oh, dude," I'm not 100% how many of these people I've heard talking about where people were excited about it coming out versus when I read about them talking about after it came out. But I know there's a lot of hype around it, and it seems like everybody has been pretty
I've
pleased with
seen,
what they've seen.
yeah, I've seen very minimal, like minor, just little nitpicks that people have had. I haven't seen anything major about it like being bad. I guess I think people are saying it doesn't run at 60, but I don't care about that.
Well, dude, me neither.
As
Like,
long as it runs at 30 or higher and it runs smooth, I could care less what it runs at.
dude, I don't like maybe some people just have like far better like eyesight than me, but like when I've heard people complain about this stuff, like unless it's really bad, kind of like you were talking about, like
Yeah,
to
there's no
me, like it,
lag, stutters, nothing like
yeah,
that. I'm totally fine.
same here. Like
All of
it's
my games are, I always put them on quality, not performance. So this way they look prettier. Because I don't need the extra frames. 30 frames, totally fine.
I totally agree. I
And
would
I'm also
go,
playing on an 86-inch TV, so I don't really need.
yeah, well, in your situation, every imperfection is going to be magnified
I
times
heard,
like
from what I
like
hear, is
50
this
versus what it would be for me.
the smaller the screen, or if you're playing a competitive game, you'll really notice it. Like if you're really like deep and hardcore and like Call of Duty, on your little screen, you need it to refresh really fast so you can move fast. But if we're when we just play single player games mostly, or we're just we're
Hmm.
pretty casual and stuff, so we don't care about that.
Or you're playing Tactics Ogre.
God, I want to play Tactics Over, dude.
Dude, I gotta tell you, that game is great. I think truthfully, since this came up briefly here, I think that probably the three games I've played the most in my life would go like this: Civilization. I mean, you could break it down by which number, but if you say Civilization, I mean, I don't think there's any game or franchise I'd put
So
more
we're just
hours
talking
into.
like hours.
And we're talking like raw hours. I don't think there's anything I put more hours into than Civilization.
So we're gonna do a
I
top
think.
three here. Okay, good.
What was that?
So we're gonna do a top three then.
Okay.
I'll try to think of mine.
And okay, yeah. So number two would be Age of Empires. Um, I mean, again, like if you're talking like Age of Empires one, two, three. If you just say the whole franchise, I mean that's definitely number two. Because I played the crap out of all of them, and
Man, you really like those like top-down tactic games.
I really like tactical games. Yeah, tactics are kind of my thing. And I would say number three is almost unquestionably Tactics Ogre Reborn because I
The specifically Reborn, the new one.
yeah, that's not even counting in like Ogre Battle 64 or anything like that, or like the Super Nintendo one, March of the Black Queen, or
Yeah.
is that the PlayStation? I forget, but like it's not even counting any of those. Like just Tactics Ogre. Um, I put in an insane amount of time because you have to beat it on three timelines, and which that's not even that's really kind of the minor aspect of it. Like the main thing is because for me, when I play my games, like as you know, I like to get the platinums. I'm kind of a platinum fiend.
Yeah, that's why. So you have way less experience with games due to this.
That is
And it is
true.
something I'm trying to break you of. I'm hoping the Switch helps.
It has helped. There's no question.
I want you to enjoy games again. That's I don't want you to have to like struggle your way to get every little thing, and then you experience so little. Like I got my Christmas present already picked out for you, and I bet you won't play it for like 5 years because you haven't even
Hey, better
played the
late than
last
never.
one I bought you.
Better late than never.
You still
Okay.
haven't even unwrapped the seal
Hey,
on
but at least I
Cyberpunk.
saw it sitting in front of my TV. No, it's the thought that counts, right? I'm thinking about it. All
God,
right, I'm
it's
trying to get to it.
and now that it's
But
fixed and you have a PS5, it will play beautifully. Like this is the time to play it.
well, dude, and now I'm gonna have an even more beautiful TV to play it on,
And
right?
then you need to pick up the DLC because the DLC is so big, it's like another game.
Really?
It's so good. It's
That's
only
im-
$30.
that's impressive.
It's really good,
That's
yeah.
actually real impressive. So big and good.
Uh-huh. I liked it a lot. I had a
That's a
lot of
straight up
fun.
double bonus, bro.
So what's your number three here for most hours put in? Oh no, that was
Well,
it.
that
Tactics
was number
Ogre.
three.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's insane. I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm sure you could probably put Call of Duties in there. Not that they're like my top, but probably like Black Ops. I'd say, anytime we would get drunk and get together, we would play Black Ops, Zombies, or just try
Zombie
to
stuff is
snipe each
fun.
other on on any of the maps, or like play Nuketown. So we would get together and get drunk and play that a lot. Another thing I probably played a lot of was Left 4 Dead. Both of them, probably. One and two. I mean, two's got a lot of DLC that basically is the first game.
Those are good games.
Oh, they're so good that a community pack for the second game just came out, I think, like a year ago. So people are still like doing stuff actively for a like 15-year-old game or whatever it is.
Well, as a trophy hunter, one thing that I hated about that game was the fact that there's like a single or an offline mode you can play in,
Yeah.
but you can't earn any trophies in it. You have to be online only.
I didn't realize that, but I don't hunt for trophies, so.
So I saw that and I was for a trophy hunter like me, it's pretty disappointing. You like to be able to earn your trophies any way you can get them.
No, see, I like to just earn, like, I do like to earn like, if I think it's feasible, I try. I've got a couple platinums or whatever you'd call the master achievement on Xboxes, but I don't go out of my way to do it all the time. It's supposed to add replay value for the future, not for immediately. And then my number three, I mean, if you're talking like a franchise, it's Zelda, no question.
Oh yeah,
I've
Zelda.
been replaying Zeldas. I actually just replayed it's called Ship of Harkan. Somebody wrote or like rewrote the code and ported it to PC. So it's like not an emulation, it's ported playing natively on the computer. It's pretty sick.
Wait, no, which game is this?
Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Well, they're still
Oh,
developing
okay.
the Majora's Mask one, but um, yeah, I mean, those are probably the top three games I played the most hours. I
Okay.
mean, if you count the times that I replay games, that's all
Mm-hmm.
different. Like I've replayed BioShock. I don't know all the BioShocks. I don't know how many times.
Well, listen, I'd say that that counts a little bit because, like, with Civilization, for example, where do you? I know that's a little different because each time you play, it's a new map, but like, where do you draw the line between being like,
Oh, and
uh,
Minecraft. Oh my god.
oh,
I've
Minecraft?
been playing Minecraft since before it was released.
Really? How'd you even know about it before it was released?
There was something somewhere. I forget exactly how. I was just getting into computers at the time, and I stumbled upon the alpha, and I played the alpha, which is basically like a really crappy creative mode. Didn't have a lot. And then I played the betas when it came out. And I waited a long time. I think it was one of the very first games I bought with real money as an adult. I
Oh, so it's
paid
got a
I
special
paid
place in your
for it.
heart.
Yeah, I've always had it on all my computers. It's probably on his laptop.
Well, it's got a special place in your heart and in your wallet. It sounds like
Hmm. You want to talk about games I've rebought the most? Is
Resident Evil 4.
Minecraft, Skyrim, Resident Evil 4.
Mm-hmm.
They
I,
keep
I
selling it to me, and I'll
I
keep
knew
buying it.
Resident Evil 4 had to be at close to the top of that
Dude,
list,
I've bought almost every copy of Resident Evil 4. I had it on
dude.
PS2. I had it on GameCube at one point. I have the remake. I also have the port for the new system. So technically, I have it twice on the same system. And then I bought the VR version when I was using my Oculus.
Well, I think I own every version of it except for no Oculus version, of course, because I never had an Oculus. But and it probably came out on the Xbox, so I don't have that either. But
Yeah,
I
like,
for
but I
for every
have,
system I've had that it was available for, I think I bought it
I have
for
it.
it.
I have like the port version on my Xbox,
Hmm.
and then I bought on my Xbox One, and then I bought the remake as well. So they're both playable.
Nice, dude. That was a really solid remake, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. It was really good. I haven't replayed it. I played it through once, loved it, and then I put it down because I want to like give it some time to marinate, and then I want to come back to it fresh and replay it again.
Well, I don't know if it was just me or what, but like I felt like the Resident Evil 4 remake was a little harder than I remember the original being.
Absolutely, 100% is way harder in my opinion.
Yeah,
That opening scene with the where you're waiting for the bell tower was a lot harder in the remake than the original.
yeah, because I
I died
remember,
like 5 times.
yeah, because like I remember when I played in the or on the original, like I remember like once I got the controls down, I remember just kicking butt like nonstop. With this game, like I don't know, it's just something about it's more difficult, and some of the boss fights too are a little different, and I feel like more difficult. Like like the one against Salazar.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, dude, I remember it being that hard, but in this one, I was like it took a lot more effort than I remembered in the original.
They changed a pretty hefty amount, I think. I mean, I think it was mostly smaller stuff, but they changed a lot. I think they removed
Yeah,
some
they did.
areas or quickened
They
up
they
some
did.
areas.
They removed at least one boss, and they removed some areas.
I think it was still a really good. I mean, but you could literally buy the port as well for like $10 and use somewhere, so you can literally play them both.
Yeah,
So it's not like you're locked out
I
or
mean,
anything.
like there. I mean, probably the cut content was my biggest complaint, but it's not really that big of a deal in my humble opinion because
Well,
it
Ada's is her missions aren't in that game. I don't think.
they are actually.
Oh,
At
they are.
first they weren't, but it's a an extra add-on you can buy and add to it.
I haven't
So
gone
so it's
back, so
there.
I'll have to look into it.
So at first I was disappointed about that too, because like, oh man, there's no Ada separate ways, but it's there now. They added it. They came back and they added it as an
Mhm.
add-on you can buy. Um,
I still have to play the add-on for Resident Evil 8. I haven't played as his daughter yet.
oh yeah, Rose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't played that yet. I heard it's really good.
Actually, I haven't played that either because oh, okay, so when I was going through getting the platinum on Resident Evil 8, like first of all, I love that game. I mean, 7 and 8 both really good games, but
7 is
at
amazing.
at the point I got the platinum on 8, even though getting the all the trophies for the mercenaries mode was incredibly difficult and annoying, I that was like a high for me, man. Like I loved Resident Evil 8 and I wanted more, but when the that ad out came on, I was like, I'm going to wait for it to be on sale. 'Cause that's usually how I buy most of my games. I have such a backlog games to play. Like I'm like, usually I'll
That's
wait for
an
it to go on sale.
understatement.
That's an understatement, yes. But
You have the biggest
so,
backlog I've ever seen.
yes, let's be honest, right? But if only I could stop working 2 jobs and when my kids grow up a little bit, maybe I'll have more game time. But and yeah, and maybe you're right. Maybe if you can break me of my obsession with getting platinums, maybe
That
that
would help
would help a lot.
significantly. I mean, I get the kid thing and stuff. I definitely played a lot more Call of Duty back when pay was younger because I could just start it up, play a couple rounds real fast, and then go and do whatever the hell else I needed to do.
Mm.
Or when I was working 3 jobs. But
You
you
almost had
can't
three
really do
jobs?
that. Well, technically, yeah, I did Uber,
Yeah, that's right.
Walmart, and I did James Games all at once.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was forgetting James games. Okay, yeah. Yeah,
So I'd play a
that's
couple
legit. I mean, it
rounds.
was work, yeah, so.
Yeah, I would do a couple rounds and then I would go work on game systems,
Hmm.
which I mean was a hobby and fun, but it wasn't the same as like sitting down and playing a game.
Yeah, yeah,
On top
I know
of
what you
taking care of a kid and whatever else I had to do.
I
So
know what you mean. I mean, it's kind of with me. Like, in theory, at least, I like to read, but working in a library is not the same as sitting down and enjoying a
yeah,
book.
no, I'm very grateful for the job I have now. I get a lot more free time.
No,
Um,
dude, you've got a sweet setup, man. Well, I mean, in fact, like, it's what's enabling us to get together right now, because if you,
if I had to work, I'd be at work.
exactly, yeah, if I didn't have the day off, I'd be at work too, but this is, this worked out pretty nice.
No, I want to, the plan is to at least get together maybe a couple times a month and record at least a couple episodes or
Hmm.
twice a month, record 2 episodes a session. This one's more of like just talking and kind of introducing ourselves and things we like and
Yeah.
whatever else we want to
Um,
talk about.
well, there's always so much to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll do a re-recording of just introducing ourselves where we'll pin it towards the top. But when we're just starting,
That's a
we've
good
never
idea.
done this before. I guess just hitting record and just starting to talk is probably the better way we to go at the moment.
Yeah, man, just getting everything we've been holding in off our chest.
Yeah,
Like
so
me, like when I'm, at work in the office, and I have to hold it all in professional, now I can just let the floodgates open and just let, all the gaming stuff that's by my heart out.
yeah, I don't even have to worry about that kind of stuff, man. I drive to my job site, I fix the thing or restock the thing, and then I leave. I mean, I answer a lot of emails throughout the day and stuff because I am officially in charge of Ohio. I am the coordinator of Ohio now, on top of being a field tech.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do a little bit more work, but it's not like it's hard work. It's on my computer or on my phone. I just answer it.
Hmm. You ever get tough questions, or is it,
Oh
with your
man.
knowledge, is it pretty easy?
Well, it depends. Like I don't want to. I'm not the smartest technician in the world. I just had some issues with the firewall the other day, and we switched from the firewall to a network switch instead because they don't want the firewalls anymore. And that took hours on the back end with guys on the phone that had nothing to do with anything I could do. And then I had to change some Windows settings. But like, I've been trying to, we've been training up a new guy in Akron as well. And he, almost every time he goes out, he has a question right now. But I
Yeah,
don't
is
think,
that pretty normal for,
I don't,
or is it a lack of competence?
I don't want to say that's lack of competence. I think he can do the job. I think he's just nervous. I think it's confidence,
Oh,
not competence.
a confidence issue. Yeah, I gotcha.
Um, I think he can do it. I think my ATM background, like my boss said, made this job cake for me. It's
Yeah,
so
that's great, man.
easy. And then the other guy he hired that also used to do ATMs, total cake for him too. So now he said if he sees somebody with ATM background, he calls them first.
Oh, that's so cool.
Because we set the precedent of like these machines are similar to ATMs in some ways, but they're so easy to work on.
Dude, that like having ATM experience is like the Harvard of this industry.
Oh, for sure.
Uh,
It's not even like I just did ATMs for a little bit. I did ATMs for years.
Was it that long?
I worked on ATMs for like 3 years.
I do remember you doing it for a while, and I remember sometimes you'd be like, "Yeah, man, like I was over
Yeah, I used to
by
work.
your house, this past week or
I used
whatever."
to
And
work doubles too. I used to work 16-hour shifts.
that's nuts, man.
Yeah, that's how I got in my accident when I was driving once in the company van because I had worked all day the day before, worked all the way into the night, woke up, worked in the morning again, and I hit somebody by accident.
That's because you were so tired.
I was really, yeah, I was really tired. It wasn't that big a deal. I just kind of bumped him. It was a mail truck, which was weird because the cop is like, you know how they have to like put in what vehicles were involved.
Hmm.
He's like, what is a mail truck? Like, what do you put for this? There's no like, it's not like Chevy or Dodge or, he didn't know what he even had to put in for a little mail truck.
That's interesting. It's funny how detailed like every industry is. Like even like with a cop, you don't think about the difficulties he may have, like putting in
Like weird stuff.
the make and
Yeah.
model of a mail truck.
Yeah, exactly. I think he had to actually call in to a supervisor and figure out what he had to put because he didn't know. But those things are built like tanks. There wasn't like a scratch on it. My work van was a little dented, but it wasn't that bad. My radio wasn't really working that much after I hit the antenna pretty hard, but I didn't use the antenna anyway.
You know what this sort of reminds me of? Like you were talking about how that thing was built like a tank. I remember, you remember Game Informer? Well, I guess they're still around. Like GameStop
Oh,
still.
Game Informer's dead
Oh, is it?
recently. Yeah,
Oh, that's a shame.
there's a bunch of magazine outlets and news outlets that are dying right now for games.
That probably explains why there's such a big exodus of their editors and writers
Yep.
and their editors in chief. Because when I was a kid, like I still remembered some of their names, like Andrew Reiner or Andy McNamara or however you say his name.
I've got some laying around here somewhere.
I think I still do at my house too. But I remember, Andy, whoever was before Andy, like he moved on to something else. Then Andy came up, he was the editor in chief, and he wasn't there that long before he moved on to something else. And then Andrew Reiner, which was kind of sad because I mean, I remembered, him being an editor when I was a kid, and then Andrew Reiner, another one I remember from being a kid, was moved up. I was like, sweet, like at least there's still somebody there that I recognize from back in the day. And then he moved on to something else. And then I basically didn't recognize anybody at that point. And now you're telling me they're gone, so
Yeah,
that would explain why. If they saw the writing on the raw wall, I'm sure if they're looking at sales figures and all that, they.
well, yeah, and GameStop used to really push them hard too. Like you'd buy anything, and I'd be like, "Oh, would you like this blah blah subscription? Would you?" I mean, they pushed everything at GameStop. Everyone knows that. But they were pretty big on pushing Game Informers. But as far as I remember, I can do a quick search, but I'm fairly certain that Game Informer is no longer.
Well, this is a sad day for me then, bro, because I've loved Game Informer since
Yes, Game
I
Informer has
remember.
shut down as of August 2024 after 33 years of publication.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, as I say, they pretty much go back as far as I can remember. I mean, I've enjoyed them for a long time. It's a sad day. And quite frankly, since GameStop was pushing them so hard.
They owned them. GameStop laid off the entire Game Informer staff and provided severance packages at least.
Oh, that's nice
How
of them.
good they were, I couldn't tell you. It's GameStop. But um,
That's better.
at least they
Whatever it is,
got
that's better than
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I was for a little while. I've got a stack around here somewhere of I think Walmart calls them game centers, and I used to pick them up for free. They're little like games that are coming to Walmart soon. Little magazines, and I got a bunch of those. I was collecting them.
I've thought about this sort of thing many times when I've been in the library. Because there's still like an entire section that's just full of magazines.
Magazines, yeah.
But within the past probably 6 months, I think two or three different magazine publications have gone under, and so we don't have any more, of course. And I couldn't help but think. I mean, I've thought this many times when I'm up there. I can't help but think, 10, 15 years ago, like you probably would have had an entire section just of gaming magazines.
Oh, absolutely. There was
But
a bunch of them.
but now there's zero, and even like the ones that are still hanging on, like Game Informer, are going under. It's just kind of sad.
Yeah, but no one's buying them. That's probably why. You got like I just read that article that it notified me on my phone.
Well, some things are sad purely for nostalgic value.
Oh, yeah,
Like
for sure.
I still remember Game Informer actually reporting on this, a long time ago, talking about how I think it was Konami when they got out of the arcade
Hmm.
business. And I remember I was like, I don't really care that much, like in terms of like me wanting to go to the arcade to play them. It's kind of sad to
To
see
hear that happening.
that's
Yeah.
happening. But with Game Informer, it's a little different because I until recently, I guess not anymore, but you know, I
As of a couple months ago.
I had kind of noticed I hadn't seen one in a while. I was wondering what happened, but I still looked forward to getting the physical copies of Game Informer in the mail. I mean, I remember sometimes I'd take them to work with me and try and read them on my lunch break. So this is something that's kind of sad, like in a way that's like it's nostalgic and knowing that I can't do something anymore.
There are still a bunch of magazine companies in general, though, surprisingly. If you go to like Books A Million, they've got a giant wall.
They
It's
do.
just new
Yeah, that
magazines.
entire back wall is all
Yep.
magazines, but I don't think a single one of them is video game magazines.
No, there's well, I haven't been in a little while. There used to be some. There used to be an Xbox and a PlayStation magazine specifically.
Okay, well, my daughter loves going in there because now that there's no Toys R Us, like they actually have a surprisingly robust toy selection.
If you go to the mall, technically, I think it's Macy's. They own Toys R Us now. They have a Toys R Us section.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so there's no like,
There's no like
well,
real physical
so
store.
I guess like you were
Yeah.
talking about earlier, there's supposedly one Toys R Us somewhere in Canada, and possibly legend has it that there's a couple maybe in Australia or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Macy's does have a small section of their store dedicated to Toys R Us.
Yeah, it's usually
Now,
upstairs in their well, yeah, it's usually upstairs in their like home section where they've got like pots and pans and glassware and other stuff, and then it's just like this toy section.
well, okay, so it used to be upstairs. Now it's downstairs.
Oh, they
They
moved it.
moved it, yeah. So my wife, a while back, she wanted to get a nice coat, I think, or she ordered something at Macy's, like that, and we went to go pick it up, and I saw, a sign that was like, oh, Toys R Us, now at Macy's or something like that, or coming. I think actually at the time it was like coming
Coming soon.
soon,
Yeah, that
and
I was like all hype. I was like,
I was
oh,
like, I was like, Toys R Us is back. We're back, baby. We're back.
we need my Toys R Us, man.
So when we were finally able to make it back and check it out once they got it all set up and open to the public, I was, I mean, it was a kind of mixed bag of emotions because on one hand, it's like I'm really happy it's there. On the other hand, it's like it's also obviously a very hollowed out shell of what it used to be. But the third kind of double whammy you notice is the selection's just not very good. Like if you compare it even to like Books a Million, like Books a Million has cool toys,
Or
man,
even a Walmart.
or even Walmart. But it's like I'm like I don't know who's making the decision to buy these toys, but like most of it is like it's not anything. Certainly as an adult I get excited about, but I don't think my kids really got that excited about it either. Like if I take them into Books a Million, I mean they can stand there all day playing with the toys and begging me for everything. But Toys R Us just didn't have it going, man. It was a
Well,
lot of
I think the reason why Macy's bought it, and I think this is the mall's the way malls still stay in business today, is they bank on Christmas. So I think Macy's
mm,
bought it so this way they can have a big toy, well, a moderate sized toy section. I don't say big. It might expand
yeah,
during Christmas. I don't know.
definitely wouldn't call it big, that's for sure.
But I do know that that's their big money making holiday. That's when everybody goes to the mall still and buys stuff.
Mm,
We start buying stuff around now, but that's because a lot of us are all into horror. So
mm,
we get Halloween Christmas presents a lot of the time.
yeah.
But that's their motto. I think that's what they bought it specifically for the big Christmas rushes.
Yeah, so I took my daughter in there a while back, just to see if she was very impressed. And so they did have like the official like Toys R Us section.
They had some Nintendo stuff last time I was there.
Oh, they did actually. That's right. They did.
Yeah,
I
they had
forgot
some
about that.
Mario toys.
Okay, so I can't say it's like all garbage, which That's not even how I worded it. I said mentioned I wasn't very impressed. So
Yeah, it's not
they had
impressive.
they had a few gems in there like that. You're like, oh, this is pretty cool. Cause like I do remember they had I think one at like Bowser's airship or something, which
Yeah, I
was
think
kind of
so.
cool. I was like Bowser's airship. I kind of want this.
Yeah, I want
Okay,
this now.
so so yeah, I get they did have some things, but like the vast majority was just not that great of a selection.
Right.
But they did have this other section that wasn't like Toys R Us, but like it did have a bunch of like just
Toys.
random toys and
Yeah,
stuff.
they've always had
And
toys.
yeah, so like my daughter actually did find something that she was begging me for, and it wasn't in the Toys R Us section. It was in that random Macy's toy section,
It's wild.
and it was like this small cat statue. Like you push a button on its chest or whatever, like make parts of it light up. So like it had like this paw sticking out, so it looked like it was like a Dragon Ball Z fighter about to
Yeah, it's because you
unleash
guys
an
are
energy blast.
secretly obsessed with cats, but don't realize it.
Dude, I love cats. I think my daughter would love to have a cat. It's my wife that is the problem. She doesn't. She's terrified of cats, man.
Dude, I'm all about my cats. I love
Dude,
my cats.
I would love to have a cat again. I'd love to have a calico cat that I could cuddle up or that could snuggle up on my lap with me after work, and I could hear it purr, and I would know the house was mouse free because she was a ferocious mouse killing beast,
Yeah, my mustachio will kill just about anything that walks in front of her.
including humans.
Well, not well. Yeah, sometimes actually, if she's hiding behind the curtain on the stairs on your way down, you might get attacked.
She'll pounce.
Yeah, she might just swipe out at your leg.
Yeah. So yeah, so the only thing we got, recently from Toys R Us wasn't even from Toys R Us, it was from the Macy's side.
Which doesn't count. Definitely
That's
does
as
not
close as we've
count.
gotten. Uh, but no, I mean, I remember back in the day, like, did you go in Toys R Us very often?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Like, dude, they had
My
cool
Game
stuff.
Boy Advance is a special limited edition that has Toys R Us's logo on it.
Dude, that is awesome.
Yeah, I actually have it listed for sale right now. It should actually be right next to you.
Dude, you're selling that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
I'm selling all my games.
I mean, but that's kind of special. Are you sure you want to get rid of something like that?
What am I gonna use it for?
I don't
It's
know,
been
playing Game
sitting
Boy
in a
Advance games?
it's been sitting in a box. Oh, dude, I opened up the right one first try. Look at that.
Oh, dude, I see it. I see the Toys R Us
The
logo.
Toys R Us specific.
Dude, this is a beautiful
This
Game
whole
Boy
bundle
Advance,
was
man.
for sale together.
How much you selling that for? Just out of curiosity.
It's like 150, I think, 140, something like that.
Are there any good games in there like Zelda?
No, I won't sell anything with Zelda on it. I'm selling my collection, but I'm not selling the things I want to shelf.
Well, dude, you should keep that Toys R Us one, man, because that is just priceless. You'll never get anything like that again, Rich. Not
So,
in this life, but maybe in the next.
one of the reasons why I feel qualified to talk about video games in general is I was a longtime collector. And I have been selling off basically my entire collection, except for some things I want to keep on a shelf looking pretty.
Elf on a Shelf?
No. No, but like my N64 back here, it's a special Pikachu edition. I want to put that on a shelf. I've got in my eBay saved list, I've got a little stand for it that I'm going to buy. But mostly I'm moving all to emulation. It's going to be easier for me to buy a house that way. I don't have to need as much space for crap I'm not using anyway. But I've been collecting and repairing for more than a decade. Fuck, I fixed my very first game console when I was like 12, and I have been fixing them ever since.
How'd you figure out how to do that when you were 12?
Magic? I just got a screwdriver and took apart a PS2. PS2 turned out that the ribbon cable from the power switch and the eject button wasn't seated properly. I got it from a yard sale,
Wow, good job, bro.
and I wanted my PS2 to work.
Well, I'm still holding out for that day that the Switch quits working in the library and I can bring it to you broken,
Yeah,
battered,
I might be able to fix a Switch.
sad.
I try not to open too much new stuff, just in case.
What about Justin Timberlake?
They're well, they're a pain. Like I've tried opening up newer controllers. No, thank you. I can't ever get them back together. Every little thing has a little tiny switch and a little spring and a little something. And once it's apart, it's like doesn't want to go back to the way it's supposed to be.
Mm.
So there's certain things I try not to mess with. But I'll stick to emulation. I think it's been working out so far, and I mostly play new stuff now anyway.
mostly play new stuff.
Yeah, I play a lot of Game
Usually.
Pass games. I just finished 3 Game Pass games, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, I finished Contrast, Those Who Remain, and Close to the Sun. So 2 horror games and a very interesting um game where it's kind of a 3D platformer. It's based kind of in like I want to say it's like the 50s. And the unique mechanic of this game is I think you're an imagination character who you play as of this little girl, and you can merge into the wall as a shadow, and you can stand and jump on shadows. So sometimes you have to position lights in a way that you can move and jump while the shadow is on the wall.
Hmm.
It was very interesting. It was a very sad game. The ending kind of pissed me off because it kind of just did nothing at the end. It was like they didn't know how to end the game.
No, it's one of those games that doesn't have a good conclusion. It just kind of ends. That's
Yeah,
yeah.
I wasn't super into that. I mean, I was all invested in this little girl and what was happening to her, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's over.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, it's disappointing.
I didn't pay for it. I played it on Game Pass, and I liked it a lot. It's called Contrast.
Cool. Um, so would you recommend I check it out?
If you had Game Pass, yeah, I would say you should definitely install it. Those
Is
who
it even
rem
on the PlayStation?
I think it might be. I didn't actually look, but I know for sure it's on Xbox and PC. I know it's on Steam.
Hmm.
I also liked Those Who Remain a lot, and that was that game I was telling you about where I was basically reading these notes about this girl who got pranked when she was 13 and she died because of it. And you have to read the notes and solve these puzzles to judge the kids that were involved and the parents who covered it up to protect
Hmm.
their kids. And you have to judge whether they're condemned or forgiven.
So you're like Judge Dredd, you're like Judge, Jury, and Executioner.
Yeah, you decide, and then at the end, you're dealing with how you took a shortcut one day and you got in a car accident and your little daughter died and
Oh,
she was
brutal.
also 13. So he's like dealing with that while trying to do the condemning and stuff. And then at the end, there's 3 possibles endings where you got the good ending where you've saved and forgiven everybody. There's this other like medium ending where you've killed or condemned at least I think it's 1 to 2 people, and then anything higher than that is the bad ending. So
What happens in the bad ending?
I did the one ending, and then I watched a video on the other ones. I'm not replaying the whole game. But the
You're not going for the platinum.
no, well, yeah, because that I would have to replay it I think 3 times because there's different options for a bunch of stuff that gives you
Mm.
more trophies. um, Closer to the Sun was also pretty good. That's the one I was talking about with
Mm.
where they mention Edison and Tesla a lot, and that's like very like Art Deco of like the 50s and 60s, like BioShock.
I like that Art Deco style.
Oh, me too. That's one of the reasons why I like BioShock so much. That on top of the story being just so amazing. I named my cat after one of the characters in the second game.
Which cat was that?
Eleanor. The character's name is Eleanor Lamb in BioShock 2, which is my favorite BioShock.
Wait, one of her cats is named Eleanor?
Yeah, we call her Ellie.
Okay.
She's the one that's like black with brown and stuff mixed into her. She's one of the cats I've had forever.
Oh, so she's not named after Ellie from The Last of Us?
No, she's named after Eleanor
Well, if
from
she's not, then
BioShock
she
2.
should be.
No, no, no. I like Last of Us, but not nearly as much as I like BioShock.
Yeah, no, the first Last of Us in particular is really good.
Oh, that game is
You know, I
terrific.
gotta tell you, the second Last of Us, I mean the
I bought that game
mechanics.
twice, and I'm considering maybe buying it a third time because
It's
they're remastering it again.
really
Yeah, it's going out for PS5 soon. They're gonna milk the
well.
first game as much as they can.
Well, it's because it's so good. I mean, it's almost perfect.
Yeah, it's a terrific game with a very cool concept.
Well, isn't one of the versions that like not like exactly a remake, but isn't it sort of revamped or something? Like, did they change the controls a little bit? And
There's the first one on PS3 which came out, and then
great game.
they called it a remaster for PS4, and now they're gonna make I think it's called a remake for PS5. I think it's called a remake.
Oh, like is it actually going to be a remake or is that just a naming gimmick?
I have no idea, dude. They're gonna keep milking it. That's all
I
I
mean,
know.
if they improve the controls, man, I'd for sure buy a remake. Um, Dude, I just hope they don't, update it so that like they look like the characters from the live action show. Because like
Dude, I
Ellie,
haven't even watched that yet.
I haven't watched it either, but I know what Ellie looks like, and it doesn't. She looks better in the game than she does in
They
the
should have
show.
got Ellen Page to play her in the show, because Ellen Page is who she's based off
Oh,
of.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Ellen Page no longer exists. Now she's, isn't it Elliot Page?
Really? I haven't seen anything about it personally, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think she transitioned.
But man, that first game was amazing. I loved the multiplayer, actually. It was very unique. It wasn't like playing Call of Duty. It was like you had to play, get resources, kill the other players, and then those resources went to your camp. And then your camp would survive or gain survivors based on how well you did playing the multiplayer.
Huh, that's pretty
It was
interesting.
very unique. I liked it a lot.
I never played the multiplayer on it, but I saw that there were a ton of different things you could buy for it,
Yeah.
like different like finishing moves or, taunting moves and
Yeah, I
I
think
remember all what all. I remember if I remember right, like it was a giant list of different cosmetic and move sets you could do.
I think they shut it down, and then I don't they might have added it to the PS4. I can't remember, but I don't think the servers are up anymore.
That's a
Um,
shame.
BioShock, speaking of games with unique multiplayers, BioShock also had the second game had a unique multiplayer where you played as the splicers, which is the enemies of the game,
Mm,
and you're all fighting for like Adam. I liked it a lot. It was really fun. It was very buggy because I played it on PS3, but I liked it a lot.
yeah. Well, I guess with me, like my origins, leading up to right now are, I actually started with, the Atari, maybe 2600, but it was an old Atari system. And I mean, I was born after the Atari came out, but um, we were poor, so my dad was working at a place called AZ Rental,
Hmm,
and somebody like in one of the warehouses or one of the storage units, I should say, just left all their stuff, quit paying their rent, and left all their stuff. And one of the things they left was like this box full of Atari games.
right.
And so my dad brought it home, and we didn't get a Nintendo. Nintendo was out, of course, but we didn't get one. But we had an Atari, so I played a ton of Atari as a kid. So then when my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, see, my uncle is 2 years younger than me, and one of my aunts is the same age as me, so they were, I grew up with some of them.
That's interesting.
Well, yeah, 'cause I had a bunch of kids. My mom's our oldest, and she had me when she was pretty young, so it just happened to
That's
overlap like
yeah,
that.
that's weird.
But so yeah, they got a Nintendo for their kids, and so when I would, first played a Nintendo, having played Atari, like it was kind of like getting to see the switch from like PS1 to PS2 or something. Like it blew my mind. Like Mario was so cool. And so, I mean, I started at the very beginning of gaming basically,
Yeah, I
you know.
definitely did not.
And I just, slowly worked my way up since.
Yeah, well, I was born in 96, so I definitely did not start there.
You
But
were born in
also,
96? What
yeah.
the heck?
So also my parents were
Young as balls,
also
dude.
very poor. Um, I remember my dad having a PS1 when I was little,
Hmm.
and he would play a couple little things here or there. But I remember the things that I would play would be at my grandparents' house or at like daycares, and that was the Sega Genesis. I played a lot of Sonic growing up. My grandparents kept theirs in their basement because my uncle had already upgraded himself to a Nintendo 64, so he didn't play Genesis anymore.
Nice.
So I would play the Genesis in the basement, and then like daycares would have Sega Genesis. Giant Eagle, they used to have this thing where you could drop your kid off. It was called the Eagle's Nest while you shopped, and they would have the NES, PlayStation ones and stuff like that, and I would play like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot.
Dude, that is so cool. Why'd they do away with that?
Because you can't trust people with your kids anymore at a random grocery store. Come on.
Sad, so sad.
Yeah, I remember when they
Never
shut
forget what they
down.
took from us, Rich.
Yeah, I remember when they shut down. They reached out to everybody and gave us all like little candy things and stuff like that for right before they shut down because we used to go all the time.
Like
It
little
was like a
candy
little
things.
package. Yeah, I got. It was pretty cool.
Dude, was it full of the good stuff like Snickers and Reese's, or did they?
I don't really remember, but I just know that they gave us this little like going away. We're not gonna be around anymore basket.
Well, I mean, that's still pretty cool they did that. I mean, that's, I mean, it's kind of like, if you have a friend or something, and for some reason you're not going to talk to me anymore, I'm like, you at least owe them an explanation or a goodbye, right?
Yeah, what's going
I mean,
on?
if they're cutting you off from the Eagles' nest, like they owe you a little something to say goodbye, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a
So,
lot. That's where I first played like because in the later years they got like a PS2 and a GameCube, and I played Battle for Bikini Bottom the very first time there.
nice.
And God, I love that game. That game is so good.
I like bikinis
Um,
on women, of course.
the but then like as I was growing up, we got a N64, and I also used to play my neighbor's N64 with them when I was a kid, and we lived in Elyria. Um, but I broke their system or something. So my dad gave
Somehow?
them our N64, which was the special Pikachu edition, which is why I bought another one as an adult.
Oh no. How
um,
did you somehow do that? Do you remember?
I don't recall. I just remember us playing Zelda a lot when I was over there, and Powerpuff Girls was a fun game. A couple other games. We played like a lot of Majora's Mask.
Powerpuff Girls is a surprisingly entertaining show.
I love Powerpuff Girls. But I guess I broke theirs or whatever. And eventually my dad got us a GameCube where I started playing Zelda myself, where I owned it, and that was pretty great. And then my parents also bought themselves an Xbox. It was like the adult system. I wasn't allowed to touch the Xbox. So they'd play games like Conker's Bad Fur Day. Well, on the Xbox, it's live and reloaded, but it's still Conker.
Yeah.
And some other games that I just wasn't allowed to play growing up.
Well, my parents got divorced, and I think we eventually did get a Nintendo in my dad's house, but um, eventually we got a Sega Genesis in my mom's house and a Super Nintendo at my dad's house.
Hmm.
So I still remember, the Sega, the Nintendo wars that were going on,
Yeah.
but I didn't really care because I was like, dude, I've got, both, one at my mom's house, one at my dad's house. So any good game that comes out, I can get it, right? And yeah, man, I remember, Sega really got me into Sonic. I still love those old Sonic games. Still love Sonic now.
Yeah,
You
these are
know,
fun.
I mean, like I mentioned, like Sonic Superstars. I mean, that's a good game. It's solid.
Yeah.
And then of course my dad's house with the Super Nintendo. That's where I was able to play, games like Mario RPG that got me into RPGs. At that time, I'd never seen anything that amazing before. And
Oh, yeah, I didn't play an RPG for a long time. Like, I didn't play a Final Fantasy game until after my parents' divorce as well. And my stepbrothers, they were all really big into older games. They would buy NES stuff on purpose. And that's when I started playing like even older stuff. And then I didn't get
mhm.
into Atari until I was already grown. Yeah, I love Atari, but I didn't start playing that until I was an adult.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like my video game arc is pretty unique because I'm one of the few people that actually did start with the
With
Atari
an
and actually
Atari.
work my way up with each new system as it came out. I mean, the only system I didn't really get that much experience which actually I even kind of did,
Well, there's
was
probably a bunch actually that you don't even know exist that I
well,
know about.
that's true, yeah, yeah. But I was like, because even like, so I got an N64, I went with that instead of a PlayStation, but even that, like, when I was in college. That's actually where I got exposed to Final Fantasy IX because one of the guys lived on my floor. When Final Fantasy IX came out, he was like, dude, he's like, I got this game called Final Fantasy IX. And he's like, when I get off work later, he's like, we're gonna have to play it. And I remember playing it and it blew my mind.
The
It blew
very
my balls off with the awesomeness, bro.
the first one that I think I ever owned was Final Fantasy X2. And
Does
that
the
was
X stand for excellent?
that stands for
Excellent.
10. 10 2. I that was like the exchange used to have this section of like discounted games back then, like the $2 bin or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And when I after I got that PS2 and then I fixed it from the yard sale when I was like 12, my mom took us there and we bought a couple of games a piece, and one of the games I happened to have bought was Final Fantasy X2. Because my brother would talk about how good X was. So I was like, oh, it's Final Fantasy, close enough.
Dude,
It's a much
X2,
different game.
very, very different, yeah.
Good
Dude,
game. Very different, though.
but dude, way harder than Final Fantasy X also.
Absolutely. That game is really
That game
difficult.
is brutal.
You're like, oh, there's
Um,
these pretty girls you play as. It's going to be easy. Nope.
they are pretty girls, man, especially Yuna and what's the blonde-haired girl's name?
Riku.
Riku, yeah.
Yeah, I like Pain, but I really like goth emo stuff.
I
So
mean, look, you can't go wrong with any of the three, let's be honest, but actually, I think Riku was kind of my favorite of the three, yeah.
yeah, she's an X as well, though.
Yeah, she was,
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
so is Yuna.
Well, actually, yeah,
Pain's the
Pain
only
wasn't,
one that
no.
wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, another thing that really got me into PlayStation back in the day was I'd go to my grandma's house, my other grandma,
Hmm.
and she had a PlayStation because she liked playing video games. So she played
That is
Spyro
crazy.
and Crash Bandicoot. Those were her games.
That
So
is
that's when
crazy,
I
dude.
started really getting into those kind of games.
Dude, you had a cool grandma.
Dude, yeah, she's really big into Harry Potter and stuff too. We would go and watch Harry Potter on VHS, play with like Legos and Kinects, and then I would play some Spyro and Crash Bandicoot and go to sleep. It was pretty awesome.
Dude, that's really cool, man. I wish any of my grandparents would play video games. None of them did, grandmas or grandpas.
I don't know if she still does to this day or anything, but I know she used to when I was growing up.
Is she still around?
Yeah, both my all my grandparents are still alive.
Oh, so you haven't talked to her recently?
No, I mean I'm young, like so my grandparents are still around.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
But I did
Well,
meet my great grandparents before they passed as well. So
I met some of my great grandparents. On my mom's side, I met my great grandma. My dad's side, I met also my great grandma. Hey, well, dude, I need to go pick up my daughter actually.
nah,
So
you're not allowed.
if you'll pick up your daughter too, she's
Well,
here.
I guess this is two guys, one podcast.
Oh yeah, this is Two Guys One Podcast, episode 1.
Random rants and introductions. I'm Nomed,
I'm Matthew Brewski.
and this is, I guess, the show. Goodbye, everybody.